Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to one of the parallel sessions of the Stati Generali of the Green Economy. It's a pleasure for me to try and be the moderator for this session. The name of this session is something very interesting because it's about walking the talk. As Italians, we are very good in talking, particularly if you are a lawyer and if you come from Rome. But we want to be also very good in making things happening, and we are doing this initiative together with the Dutch Embassy and the Dutch Consulate in Italy. And this is not the start of the cooperation, but the cooperation with our foundation and the Dutch Embassy and the Consulate started more than 15 years ago, around 15 years ago. We started together because we think and we found that Italian and Dutch people have a lot of things in common. Creativity, sharing knowledge, trying to cooperate, and be open to new things. So the goal of this workshop this afternoon is to learn. We would like to learn from each other. So I will let you know how we will learn and what we will learn about. But what is very important is that the topic is the new Corporate Social Responsibility Directive, Green Claim Directive, and in general, the corporate sustainability strategies. How to make it real, how to make it happen, and how to avoid greenwashing. That is one of the big problems we have in the corporate world, but not only corporate, also at public level. So we would like also to welcome all people who are watching us with streaming, online streaming. I think we have a lot of people watching, and you can also download this session, like all sessions of the Stati Generali, after the event and watch it again. We will have a good number of speakers, but we have time to go in deep, at least to go some deep dive into some specific topics. So I don't want to make it very long. I'll try to open this session by welcoming on the stage, and I'll try to pronounce it in the most effective way, so in Dutch accent, the Deputy Ambassador, Embassy of Kingdom and Netherlands in Italy, Pauline Diepenbroek. Welcome, Pauline. Please. And her counterpart from an Italian institution, this I can pronounce it very easily. You're not convinced? I'll try. Marina Silverii, the Deputy Director of Health Agency Emilia-Romagna region. So, welcome. So why do we want to start with them? Because what we have found is that if we talk only about corporate sustainability, we are missing a big part of the scene. Corporations have to learn and cooperate with institutions, but also institutions have to learn from corporations and from companies. So let's see what you have learned, and let's see what you're doing as institutions. And starting from the Netherlands and from Pauline. Please, Pauline, the floor is yours. If you have slides, this is for you. And I will let you know that I will tell you if you're going too long in your presentation in two ways. The first way is this one. So
it's a Dutch one.
I will ring
prefer this one.
It's a Dutch cycle, okay? But if you are going too long, I will use something that can be most effective. That is this one, the Italian Stadium tool equipment, okay? Yes. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mundo, and thank you all for coming. First of all, a big sign of gratitude to the Fondazione for working with us on the basis of these 15 years. My colleagues have told me all about this. And it's a real pleasure for us to be partnering with you again on this important topic. I also wanted to thank explicitly all the speakers on this panel, because they all represent in one way or another a kind of tandem between the Netherlands and Italy. And as you said, Raimondo, the aim is really to have an exchange on our sustainability strategies, on our experiences, on lessons learned, and on dilemmas. I'm really happy to kick off with a topic which is dear to my heart, which is the sustainability strategy of our own Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the Netherlands. At the same time, I also feel a bit modest, because you mentioned the CSRD directive, and I'm pretty sure that what we're doing at the level of government is in no way comparing yet to what private enterprise is being faced with from, I think, next year onwards. So I just wanted to put that into perspective from the beginning. I think, however, as you said, it's important to have this exchange between public and private sectors, because also the public sector, and central government is one of them, have to play their part in reaching our sustainability goals. So, that being said, let me first give you some background to our sustainability strategy of the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I thought it very nice that Edo Ronki this morning mentioned the importance of a climate law, because the Netherlands is one of the countries that has adopted a law based on a national climate change agreement, which is nationwide, and all economic sectors are contributing to it. It was agreed in 2019. By then, the aim was to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 49% by 2030. Now it has become a bit more ambitious, so it's a minus 55 in 2030, and this is all in comparison with 1990 levels. So this agreement was turned into law, and because all economic sectors, transport, industry, civil society, they all play their role, and also central government decided it had to contribute to this goal. And this is why the central government adopted its own sustainability strategy, and as one of the central ministries, also the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has decided to, or has had to, adopt a sustainability strategy. The central strategy is called Mission Sustainable, and the aim is to make government climate neutral by 2030. So that's climate neutral. And the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs strategy is called Walk Our Talk, and I'm very happy that we could pitch this one-liner into the title of this session. And it should be our share to achieving this goal of climate neutrality by 2030 as a central government. I will be addressing the main areas of this sustainability strategy of our ministry as a whole, and present a few examples of how this translates into what we do as an embassy and as a consulate in Rome and Milan. And as I said, I will also be addressing some of the dilemmas we encounter, both as a ministry, as a central organization, and at missions abroad. So that as a background. Then this is, as I said, the ministry's strategy is called Walk Our Talk. And this relates to the sustainability goals, because the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in its own mission, of course, has a lot of work to do in achieving the sustainability goals. And it was decided in working out our sustainability strategy and trying to decide how to achieve this climate neutrality by 2030, to focus on those sustainability goals where we could have impact and that are close to our heart in the sense of our of the mission of our organization as a whole. So those sustainability goals are also close to our own policy goals. And we have therefore formulated objectives on climate neutrality or CO2, greenhouse gas reductions, on circularity, and on human rights and supply chain issues and social conditions. These three areas are implemented in the organization as a whole. So that's headquarters in Hague, not Amsterdam, The Hague, and missions abroad, which are about 150. Of course, there's many other SDGs that could be relevant. I was just discussing about water with a colleague from Tuscany. There's biodiversity. The approach is really to focus on these three, and if there's embassies or missions that want to focus on other themes or areas, there's a tailor-made approach possible, but the overall corporate, as you wish, strategy is on these three areas, because we had to choose. And these are, I'm not sure, I will just be checking. Yeah, I think you can read this in the back of the room. Great. So these are the specific goals that we formulated in each of these three areas. Again, this is still at headquarters level. So this is to become climate neutral in 2030, where operational management and procurement is concerned. The second goal is to develop at least 12 circular projects in 2020 and 2023, and this should result in a strategy on circularity in 24. And the third aim is to minimize risks of human rights violations in supply chains, and also to minimize risks of violations of ILO standards. As I said, this in no way relates to the homework that private companies need to do where the CSRD is concerned, but this is the strategy that we as a ministry have developed and are now implementing. And one common element is that we are also reporting about this. So our first sustainability report was on 2022. It was published last summer. And this, in my view, is a big step, because it actually means that as a government, you take accountability for what you're doing, for your plans, for your goals, and you're actually demonstrating to the wider public that you're serious about your goals. I'm not taking you through a reading test in the back of the room, because it's not. That was not the idea of this slide. I will go into each of the three areas in the rest of my presentation. But this is just to show that you have the four SDGs, and we will come to the central element, which is the CO2 footprint in the middle in a bit. So zooming in on our climate target to become climate neutral in 2030, the ministry has started with mapping our CO2 footprint, because we really didn't know. And we are introducing the CO2 performance ladder. I'm pretty sure there's people in this room that know much more about it than I do myself. But it's a certified management tool that supports organizations in reducing their CO2 footprint in a stepwise approach. The most important findings on this slide are that almost 80% of our emissions as an organization occur abroad. So that's the blue section in the left-hand diagram. That's emissions by missions abroad, and the orange part is headquarters. Then a second finding is that travel and real estate are responsible for the majority of our emissions. And that's the blue and purple sections in the right-hand diagram. That's the organization as a whole again. Specifically air travel, 55% in 2022. I mean, no surprises there, because diplomacy equals traveling, but this is where we had to start to really measure it. And electricity and gas, aka real estate, put together almost 38%. So we will be working as a ministry in the coming years on the basis of this CO2 performance ladder to reduce our imprint. And this is the picture for the ministry as a whole. I will now be moving to the embassy and the consulate. And we adopted this aim to become climate neutral in 2030 for our missions in Italy. So our embassy in Rome and our consulate general in Milano. In Rome, left-hand side of the slide, we started with mapping our CO2 footprint because we did it at headquarters level, but that did not mean automatically that we also had the data for the local level. And we took the 2019 data, the last pre-COVID year, because had we taken the 2020 or 21, we would have been cheating in terms of both real estate and traveling data. And the findings were actually quite, they corresponded quite well with the findings at central level. Air and car travel accounted for about 57% of our footprint, and electricity, which is in our case heating, airco, IT, etc., for 42%. And this is what you see in the upper left-hand part of the slide. We're very proud that we are the first embassy worldwide to have mapped this. And it sounds very easy, but it means extracting data from many systems, very different systems, in a consistent and comparable way. And I really have to thank our colleagues in the General Affairs Department, Irian Srop, amongst others, for us to have done this. It means also that our experience in mapping our own footprint is now being used by other embassies worldwide, and so we were able to contribute to a model to account for these data. We also, in Rome, adopted the Italian government's measures in response to the energy crisis to cool to a minimum of 27 degrees in the summer and to heat to a maximum 19 degrees in the winter. And this is what you see in the lower left-hand part of the slide. And the result was a -10 electricity use in 2020, again compared to 2019 data, and even a -26 in the first 2 quarters of this year compared to 2019 data. We will be working on further energy reductions on the basis of this model. And we've also taken other measures, like, for example, buying green energy and so on. But this is really what we did at a local level, and where we sort of found a pathway that can also be used by other embassies. Our colleagues in Milano, there the diagram is a lot easier because they actually have done 2 very clear and important things. First, they moved to a new office which has a LEED Gold certification, and they sold the embassy or the consulate car and are now moving by bicycle or public transport, of course, but being Dutch, I always like to squeeze in the bicycle to get from A to B in the city. And for all colleagues goes that we travel as much as we can by train. Within Italy, it's the standard, except for the islands. Within cities, the standard is public transport, sometimes a taxi. And also we're experimenting with duty travel to the Netherlands by train. It takes time, it is more costly, but we want to be serious about this. So we are trying to work our way through that too. So on the other objectives, on circularity, we are from the embassy participating in a pilot project to work on circular solar panels, which is something that more embassies are interested in and is also supported by our headquarters. And on objective 3, the sustainable procurement, I put in 3 areas. first of all, gardening, where we have some real estate and sustainable gardening services has been one aspect. Of course, other facility management like cleaning and so on. And the crown is for King's Day. It's a symbol for sustainable event management. And it's quite an important one, since it really made us discuss how do we want to arrange our events, which choices do we make, and a very concrete one, for example, is that we tend to opt for vegetarian catering as a standard now. So that's what we did in Rome and Milano. Raimundo, I see you. Maybe
I'm moving, trying
you're
to
moving
take
to
in
the
the
bell.
ring.
But
can we make an applause for the walking the talk? This is one embassy who's trying to improve its footprint. I think this is very well done. So very good, because.
Will you allow me to put up some of the dilemmas? Because that's actually the last thing I wanted to do.
This is the nice part of the story, but
yes.
Which is the other part?
The other part of the story is here. Because it's becoming more sustainable, in my view, it's a journey where you know where to go, but you don't know the way yet. And that's quite, it can be quite hard. We encountered some dilemmas, which I want to be transparent about, and they go for both the embassy and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. First of all, definitions. What do we mean when we say climate neutral? What counts and what doesn't count? Does offsetting CO2 reductions count? The trees planting programs, do they count? What do we mean by sustainable?
What do you think about this question?
They were taking a vote.
Do you think that offsetting counts in the climate neutrality strategy of an embassy of a corporation? If you think yes, raise your hand. There's a camera from Italy from Climate watching you, okay? Nobody thinks that offsetting counts.
No, we're not counting it.
You're not doing it?
No, we're not counting it yet. I think my colleagues in The Hague are well aware of the impact it would have on the numbers if they would include it, but we're not counting it yet because we want to know what our real impact is.
Pauline, you're being very transparent, and
yes.
You started from the most difficult part, because the flights. So if we are not offsetting, how can we make it?
Well, this is another dilemma. It's on the culture and values.
Okay.
I also participated in a working group which is ministry-wide, which involves different missions, different sections of the ministry, and which is about how can we go to a world in which we travel more sustainably. Well, you ask that question to a diplomat and they will say, well, then I lose my job. Because diplomacy equals traveling. And still, with the goal we formulated and the aim we have, we need to think about this question, whether we need to make that one journey, if we need to go for this one meeting, or maybe combine it with something else, if we go with a delegation of 10 or maybe 4. If we fly business or economy, this was one of my own eye-openers, because I was amongst the people thinking, well, the plane is flying anyway. What does it matter? But it does matter. If you're in an economy seat, your CO2 footprint is a lot smaller than if you're in a business seat. But it's about culture and values. It's about the why of diplomacy. It's about the why of our organization. And it's about making a choice that if you travel, you do it for good reason. I mean, I mentioned traveling by train from Rome to the Netherlands. It's feasible. It's not always easy. You will encounter delays, and there's a lot to be improved. But you can do it. If you're posted in Washington and you need to go fly home for your holidays, there's no alternative. So it's all very local. Security can be different. Sometimes there is no physical alternative for a flight, but we need to look into this. So that's another dilemma. Then I put in real estate, because this is with these 150 missions. By the way, it's not 150 buildings, but we have buildings that we own, we have buildings that we rent, it's different timelines, it's very complicated business cases, it's long timelines. We have a situation in Rome where we would really like to renovate the building, but we also want to make it more sustainable. And it basically takes time to get that planned well. So that's another one. And well, you already mentioned the greenwashing. There's another one on the definitions I would like to mention, because it's one that we encounter quite often, and this is about what is sustainable. What do we mean by that? Is that kilometro zero? Is it bio? This morning also the word greenwashing was mentioned, and as an individual organization it's very hard to actually track your procurement line. I don't know where the food comes from that we serve at a large catering event. So this is what I wanted to present as our dilemmas. If you allow me 3 more sentences, I just wanted to tell you that conclude with, it's a learning journey. We as embassies are learning from each other, amongst the Dutch embassies, but we also exchange amongst European embassies in Rome. And the one really important step for us was to know our data, to know where we can make a difference, where our impact is. I also think our journey has just begun, and I hope that our walk will have many more steps to come. So
thanks very much for your presentation, and thanks very much. And also because she put on the table exactly, I think, exactly the same feeling and the same ideas that people in the companies are facing. When you are sincere, you say something, I don't know how to make it. And sometimes I don't know about definitions. We are trying to improve, and this is exactly what the companies are doing. But I think the main point of your presentation was that now the world is split under only 2 categories: people who are making something, doing something, starting to change their habits, and people who are just announcing or postponing in the future. So, for example, as foundation, also as Italy for Climate, what we are proposing is do something now and make it now in the next 2 years, 3 years. Don't postpone it. And then you see what happens. Because by doing this, we create something that, it's something contagious for the others. Because sometimes the climate neutrality in 2050, it can become like something that you say, okay, I will be retired in 2050, so I will try to announce here all my curves, all my scenarios. But if you do it tomorrow, it's something much more effective. So thanks very much for this. And now, Marina, it's not a case that we are in Rimini and in Emilia-Romagna. It's not a case that Ecomondo is in Emilia-Romagna, because what we found is that this region is an example, it's a laboratory of cooperation between companies and institutions and the region. So this is the place where they started many years ago, I don't know if you call it company or your initiative, that it's a kind of matchmaking between public and private. So you are helping the companies in your region and you are supporting them in the transition. Let us know how.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this invitation. And you are right. This is the right region, I think, to share thoughts and reflection about this topic. I'm the executive director of Arter, and I will tell you something about Arter because it's useful to understand also the perspective that I can bring to you today. And in fact, it's the perspective of a region that is a long history of innovation and a sensitivity also on sustainability and on public-private collaboration. I will, after a very shortly introduction of Arter, I will give you some information about some strategic documents that the region has shared and approved with both public and private players of our region to face the green transition. But it's a model. that is, could be considered as a key enabling model to face all the challenges that we have to face now and in the future. And this regional pathway to the green transition is based on also in a regional innovation ecosystem that is founded through the collaboration among public and private players. At the end, if the ring and the time is enough, it will be enough, I will show you some results of the last funded projects that the region has funded, and also a project, an important project that we are implementing in our region as a project, an ecosystem, territorial ecosystem project focused on ecological transition. So what about ARTER? ARTER is a local agency, a territorial agency. The legal status is a consortium, and our main shareholder is the Regione Emilia-Romagna. But the other shareholders are all the universities of the region and the national research centers located in our region, and plus the Union Chamber of Commerce, and the last associated members, the Municipality of Bologna.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you because I'm very happy to announce that for the first time in Italy, I am proud to listen that also we are doing in Italy what they are doing. When I go to their conferences in the Netherlands, they always talk about the triple helix, where they put together the three parts, the research, the companies, and the government. And they are very good in doing this. So you are doing the triple helix here.
Yes, we are the concrete plastic.
So we should do some matchmaking between. So we have 6 parts of the helix at the end.
Yes, and you know that before the 2014, among our associated members, there were also entrepreneurial associations. Now, we are only public associated members, but all the private part is in our scientific and technical committee, because we work ordinary with also the private part of our productive don't worry. Thank you. So we in a sense, we help the region to implement its policies, and we walk the talk, if we can use the title of this event today. So our region is known for its capacity and its model to cooperate among public and private players. And this cooperation extends across several sectors, from education, universities, innovation, and also to face the green transition and the climate change challenges. And I will show these three strategic documents, but I focused a little bit more on the first one, that is the Pact for Work and Climate. This is a pact that our region has signed in 2020 with 60 bodies and entrepreneurial associations, public administration, local authorities, universities, research centers, training centers. And the aim is to combine the economic development while addressing the challenges of climate change. So in this pact, the aim is to combine the environmental transition with duties, rights, with the social transition, and also with a development of high-quality employment, not only employment, but high-quality employment, and the development of knowledge and dissemination of know-how. This pact is, has fixed some very ambitious indicators and targets to reach 100% of renewable energy by 2035, or the decarbonization by 2050. And you know that on these indicators, it's important also the impact of endogenous factors, but this doesn't diminish the commitment of the signatories. So the important thing is that they share values and they share these objectives and they work on the same direction. And also through the others strategic documents, our smart specialization strategy. You know that each region in Europe has to develop this strategy, and our is very full of sustainability, we can say. And you can see in this slide all the cross-sectoral areas also that directly has an impact on the sustainability and the green transition, and also the adaptation of the Agenda 2030 has the same value, and all these documents are interconnected among them. And so the pacts for work and climate started from the goals of the Agenda 2030, and the S3 strategy start from the goals of the agenda, the indicators of the pact, and the aim is to focus the investment, and also the investment through the European Structural Fund, but not only, and to collect the awareness of all the component of the regional system and to work in the same direction. These policies are based also in a regional innovation ecosystem that start in the same way from a pact. In that case, to build this innovation ecosystem, at the beginning of 2000s, the region has signed a pact with the universities and the research centers, asking them to establish industrial research laboratories to innovate the companies, and commit itself as region to found these laboratories. And now we have more than 90 industrial research laboratories disseminated on the territory, and they are public and private, but all of them are certified through a system managed by Arter. So this is an enabling asset that can help also our small and medium enterprises now, for example, to face the CSR directive, because they are a structure offered of competencies devoted to the needs of the companies. So these laboratories has been hosted in technopoles. They are the gateway to enter in this system of competencies, and they are diffused in all the territories of the territories. And you can find there laboratories, equipment, infrastructures, incubators, co-working space. And so also in this case, most of these competencies are related to the sustainability and the green transition. So we are ready to help the small and medium enterprise to face this. No, it's impossible, no. No, so very, very quickly, you can see that the most important category of beneficiaries of the service of the technopoles are companies, and this is another step forward, the collaboration, public-private collaboration, because the industrial research laboratories with companies have established a legal association, legal recognized association, so regional clusters on the several priority system that you can see in the slide. And the company are not only beneficiaries, but in this case, they become partners of the laboratories to develop, to study also the innovation trend of development of this system and to develop together a strategic project in a shared vision. Also, you can see that also one of these clusters is devoted to the energy and sustainability. As Arter, we create the condition of collaboration among all these players, and we offer assistance and some instruments to help the share of information and the open innovation. And this is only one example. This is a space for collaboration, a digital platform. Heroes is the name. And you can see that you can also use this platform to launch challenges, and all together the other members of this platform can help to find a solution. Some results. So also the region use also the structural fund to finance some project. In this case, you can see features about the last 2 calls for research project that this means led by a research institution, and you can see that almost 50% of the total project funded are focused on energy and sustainable growth. In the other slide, and the main cross-sectoral area is the circular economy. This is the results of the last 2 calls for innovation project. In this case, the region-funded project led by companies, but in this case, the companies has to cooperate with the industrial research laboratories. And in the previous call, the research institution has to cooperate with companies. In this case, the energy and sustainable growth is less important. Maybe because the company has less awareness on this topic, but working together with the research institution, they can develop and they can develop attention to this topic. The last thing that I want to tell you is this project funded by the Next Generation EU. Is one of the 11 territorial ecosystem projects funded by our national resilience and recovery plan. And it is an ecosystem funded with 110 million euros for 3 years. And we have chosen to focus the project on ecological transition. This project has a very big and important research program, but also a technology transfer and innovation program coordinated by us, by Arter. You can see the strengths in which this program is organized. And in each of the activities of these strands, we've found the way to involve also the company. So we develop a pathway to match the research teams with the company, the PhD programs with the companies. The companies can participate, of course, in cascade calls, but I want to underline only one thing before the conclusion, is the participation in the challenges of public engagement strand. in this trend, we work on the territories through a participation process. The territories define some challenges related to the ecological transition, and all together with all the players of the territories, companies, local institutions, schools, universities, they has resources and help from us to find solution and to implement this solution. So, in conclusion, I want to leave you with this message. We know that the green, the sustainability is a very challenging, a complex challenge. And we know that the private part of our system has to change their model of business, their business model. But in the same way, we know and we experiment that also the public part of our system has to change the model of intervention to help and to sustain this transition. And also for the corporate sustainability reporting directive, that is of course a top-down initiative, but we think that only a bottom-up participation process helping the value chain to change their way to make business, and only with the help of the institution, the public intervention, we can give substance to this directive. So this is our job.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. And I would like to thank you for your introduction. I think you have put on the table how the institutions can care about these topics. And now we switch into the private sector and the companies. But thanks. Before starting this, I would like to welcome on the stage an important person who is also a good friend of mine since many years, Professor Marco Frey, who is the president of the UN Global Network in Italy. And he's a professor, he knows companies, he knows and teach the transition. So we asked Marco, and thanks Marco for accepting this invitation, to give a kind of setting the scene, let's say a short keynote speech about how the directives and the new directives can be a kind of accelerator for companies in general, and Italian and Dutch companies. And after Marco, we will have the match, like in the Champions League, between one Italian company and one Dutch company together on different sectors. So wait, be careful, because nobody's winning the match. Hopefully we go 1-1 on 2-2, but we start with setting the scene.
Thank you, Raimondo. Good afternoon to everybody. I think that we can identify 4 main topics in European regulations. In some cases, proposal of new directives. In other directives, like the CSRD, in which there is a challenge for companies, but also a challenge between companies and consumers, or between companies and suppliers, between companies and finance. So we can define this challenge a multi-stakeholder challenge, because for a sustainable path we need a global participation of different actors, institutions, but other actors like these 4. So the first topic today is CSRD. CSRD changed not only the rules about how to be accountable, but also the attention to strategic perspective. The novelty in the new approach is to think mainly your path. So your strategic perspective with the different steps and targets, and then the capability to measure and to be accountable. This could be a complete change in the perspective. The second point, it's about EU taxonomy. regarding the possibility to define better what is green in terms of finance. We have to manage green bonds. We have to manage different ways for finance, for private finance, to support the significant funds coming from Next Generation Europe. Only a little part of the necessity of resources, financial resources, in the transition. So it's very important to define what is green, but not only, what is sustainable. And so we are waiting for a social taxonomy also. And this to engage really the actor that 5 years ago was absent, the world of finance. Third point, the question related to the production and consumption transition. Circularity, if you want, SDG 12, in which is very important a circular way of thinking, starting from the design, and we have the design directive, but also thinking to the engagement of consumers. And so the proposal for green claims. But we have another fourth big challenge for companies. Probably this is the most difficult to apply. The engagement of supplier. The engagement of the entire value chain. Probably this is a job for institutions together with companies. But now, the European Commission asked to big companies to be the major players in this challenge. I don't know if the new Commission in 2024 maintain this kind of commitment. But I think that this is very, very ambitious. Something about all of these 4 different topics in a few minutes, because it's yes. So we say something about the connection among the Green Deal, the transitions inside the ecological transition, in which we have energy transition, circular transition, decarbonization, mobility, and so on. But it's very important to manage the financial resources for this, or to engage different actors. So all these parts of the scene are to link together. And if we have CSRD, we have also ISAR RAS. So the standards, European standards, connected with the GRI, but standards to define better, also considering the double materiality approach. And the companies ask for standard, want to have a common standard. You know also the step-by-step adopted by European Commission. Here, there is another consideration, general consideration. In the last 5 years, European Commission decided to change the way to engage companies from voluntary approaches to mandatory approaches. Mandatory, but very gradual, step by step. So in 5 years, you can engage medium companies. But you know the pathway. The question of KPIs as a part of a strategic plan, but at the same time as a part of the measurement to improve, and as a part to communicate. And to represent the evolution in the perspective of a strategic dimension, we can use the previous story of DNF or not financial statements reporting. And we have the possibility to use a report of Consob in Italy, the authority that control the listed companies, in which we have more than 220 listed companies in Italy. 148 do reporting, 122 with materiality index, 103 with sustainability committee, 74 with the role of board of a director in the materiality analysis, 58 with an induction for the board on ESG, 44 with a long-term business plan available to the public, 21 linking the strategy to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2030, 13 with the full integrated factors that generate value in the short and long term into the communication of strategy, and 5 with the strong attention on environmental issues and less attention on social issues. So, big challenge. We have a long time path to achieve a real, complete, strategic perspective of sustainability, also in listed companies. This is the vision of Consob. And the question is related to awareness, capabilities, so also internal competencies, and the capacity to engage. Regarding the engagement, last point, consumers. This is the situation of labels, of claims in our country. We are completely full of claims. But we need to have a way to maintain credibility and the capacity to engage really consumers with simple, clear, but also with a strong reputation-based claims. And so, in Italy, we have two perspectives to maintain this credibility. One is to use the product environmental footprint approach, LCA-based approach, a robust, also technical approach to measure.
But very difficult to communicate then.
Yes, and together you need simple claim like the energy claim. Very effective in some sectors, in electric and electronic sectors. And Italy decided to introduce for the first time, few years ago, also they made green in Italy. So, to maintain also the capacity in the markets to play a significant role in a relevant sector for our industry. This is about the evolution, the problems for a European perspective regarding green claims, and the action to put in place a new regulation. 1 month ago, Parliament and Council have reached a provisional agreement of these new rules. So we are working on it. And next step, the actors along the value chain, corporate sustainability due diligence directive. I told you before, this is very important to engage the backbone of Europe, especially the backbone of Italy, SMEs. So in this field, you have to put together, to link information, KPIs that banks ask also to SMEs to finance them, together with the investment linked to the next generation Europe, in Italy PNRR, and the relationship inside, along the value chain, to improve the quality, the sustainability, and together the competitiveness of our supply chains.
Thanks very much, Marco. Thanks very much for your... I think this last part, Marco, is the most difficult one, as many companies around and many companies who are watching us on streaming, they find quite easily or under control their own targets. But when you open up to the supply chain, when you open up to the small and medium companies, they don't have a sustainability manager. They cannot afford investment. They don't know how to make it, but they are the backbone. We have to help them, but at the same time, they have the solutions to help the big ones. So the very important step is to link the big companies with the small ones. I think that in the Netherlands, the situation is similar, but maybe you have a smaller part of small and medium companies compared to Italy, where we have a big part of them. So this is going to be the next. I know that in Global Compact you are doing this. We are trying to do this in our foundation. I think this is the next step. So now we will ask these things, and now they are in practical doing and making this real to the company. So I would like to start first with the first sector, that is infrastructure and cities. So I would call on the stage two companies, Arcadis from the Netherlands, but Arcadis Italia, Antonello Migliozzi, Head of Sustainability, please welcome, and Italian Railways Company, but not only railways, FS companies, Lorenzo D'Adice, the Sustainability and Environmental Manager. Welcome on the stage. Welcome. So, sorry. So, this is not a match, it's a cooperation. So we try whether we could learn from each other, but we know that also Arcadis and FS are also cooperating already indirectly, because you will tell us how. So we will try to start with Antonello from Arcadis. If you can tell us in a few minutes what you do in a global level in Italy, and some practical example of how you're making this real.
Thank you very much for inviting me in this very interesting convention. I would like before to introduce briefly my company, to say what is Arcadis. Arcadis is a company founded in 1888 in Netherlands to solve issues related to that land due to the water, to return unusable area to the community. Arcadis is also linked to the Greek mythology, so to the word Arcadia, which means a place where people can live in harmony with nature. And today, our company is a global company. We are in more than 40 countries. We are about 36,000 employees, and we have other problems to deal with than the one where we started 150 years ago. And today we need to deal with, of course, the climate the climate risk and the global emergency. And we have our own recipe about these topics. And our recipe is to maximize the impact with replicable solution, and also with a solution that can be also with the digital transition cooperation for the same scope. And in our company, we embody sustainability in everything we do, and for this reason, we have in our board of directors a chief sustainability officer that is working to coordinate all the enabling functions for the sustainability in our operations and in our business. What are you doing so far? We started in 2021 in writing our sustainability policy, and from then we are measuring our KPI, our performances, and also collaborating in writing our non-financial reporting. Our main targets are to be carbon neutral before 2035, while we need to halve all our emissions by 2025. And to get there, we need also to consider that we need to put in place serious strategies that, as before I heard from the other speakers, it is important for us to engage all our people, because we need that everyone in our company contribute to reach that scope. On the other hand, we need also to have a very practical goals, and our I can just mention some of our main strategies that we want to reduce by 50% all our domestic flights, while we want also to convert all our fleet in electric vehicles by 2030. And this is not enough, because since we are working not only in our operation.
Is this a global level?
At the global level. So we are doing this in each country, and also adapting the local policies to the global one. And
can you make it to be carbon neutral at 2035 without offsetting?
Yeah, actually, right now we are already carbon neutral because we are offsetting, but we started since 2021 to move from the carbon offsetting to the removal project, which include to change in our behavior inside our company, and also in converting a lot of activities in a more responsible way. And but also we think it's important that also in our client solution we need to be engaged to provide the best sustainable solution to our client, which means that we are only working in projects that are aligned with the SDGs. That's why we are leading the Sustainalytics, the ESG ranking at the first place since few years, of course for the company which I represent, that are engineering and consultant companies.
And who are your clients?
Our clients, my company, as I mentioned, is an engineering and consulting company, and our companies are different. These are from the different field. We have different sectors: property investment, and also industrial manufacturing. We have also some clients from the government, and also
cities, maybe
cities, of course, and also clients from the energy resources field. I would like to tell you that what makes Arcadis different from other company, that since we are a global company, for us it's important for leading our sector to put together all the best idea from one country across another country, to anticipate rules, to go beyond what is required by the regulation, the laws that are in place in all states, so to anticipate problems and then to have exemplary performances in our operations and also in our client solution. This is in brief what we are doing also for the CSRD.
So, and the targets you mentioned are global, but then in Italy, do you have specific targets for Italy?
Not yet, not yet. We are contributing globally in getting all the data and the information required for the non-financial reporting according to the GRI. And so we are getting data from that are related to our consumers for the scope 1, 2, and 3. And these are important not only to have the awareness, you know, of what we are right now, but what is really important that we are setting the strategies to improve. And to improve, we need to change a little bit also our policy. This is what we are doing in these days, in this minute. We are working, it is not easy to change, but it is, you know, our main topic to consider in our program right now.
Thanks very much. I will shift to Lorenzo, and then I will ask you about some projects that you are making in Italy. But these two companies are very interesting because I think they are, on one hand, reducing their own emissions, scope 1, 2, and 3. So they are concentrating on their business, but at the same time, they provide to their customers a means to reduce their emissions with an amount that I think is much bigger than the company's emissions. So, for example, the railways, but I think Arcadis is the same, if they reduce their emissions to 0, they can have, for example, 100. But with the services they are offering, they can help the planet or the world or the country to reduce their emission by 1,000. We have listened to shifting from planes to trains, or using maybe, or having a building done with a LEED certification or something. So sometimes it's very important to concentrate on you, but it's also very important to give solutions to others. Can you tell us more about FS, Lorenzo?
Yeah, as you said, and as the Deputy Ambassador just said, I was happy to hear that you are trying to not to use the plane and to use more and more public transport and trains. And this makes sense, as also Raimondo said, because we are an enabler to reduce the emissions related to transport, because the emissions, and not only CO2 emissions related to trains and public transport, are much lower than the ones compared to planes and cars and trucks. So we are an enabler in this respect. But before speaking about that, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the group. We are not just trains. You know, we are trains with Trenitalia, for example, but we have also the network, the rail network, part of the road in Italy, and ANAS is part of the group. And we have also a Dutch company. I'm not sure whether you know it. It's called Kubas. I'm not sure whether I'm pronouncing it correctly in Dutch. And it's a big public transport company in the Netherlands. And there in the Netherlands, we are doing a lot of practice in electric buses and hydrogen buses, because there they are very much advanced. So we are learning there how to implement the same kind of solutions here in Italy. So here we speak about CSRD, but I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go too much into details. Professor Frey already spoke about that. I just want to say how we use it, how important it is for, at least for us, but I guess for many other companies, because for us it's not just something related to reporting. Reporting is the last part of a bigger process, and it helps a lot because we were already doing what was supposed to be done by, what it's already supposed to be done by. Here you can see much, but I will explain you how it works. So we were already in line with what the CSRD was asking, but the important step forward is that now it's compulsory. Now we have to do this kind of things, even if we were working on strategies, KPIs, value chain, and so on. We had all of that. We had induction for the board. We have many things the CSRD already so is writing now. The difference is that now we are obliged to do that. So my job is much easier now as a sustainability manager. Let's say it's much easier because some time ago, so a few years ago, it was difficult to convince my colleagues, the internal stakeholders, that they had to do certain things. It wasn't enough to tell them that it was the right thing, that it was an opportunity, that it was a competitive advantage, but it was always difficult to convince them.
You had to use also some tricks, emotional tricks. Think
Also?
about your sons and daughters, think about your grandsons, and now you have the law.
Now there is the law, so this helps. It's not enough because fulfilling the law doesn't make big change. So it's not enough, let's say, because you can fulfill it on the paper, but then having processes really integrated with ESG objectives is something difficult, so different and much more difficult. So having a strategy is, of course, it's important, but it's not enough. Somebody used to say that the culture eats at breakfast strategy. This means that you can have the best strategy you want, but if it's not embedded in the culture of the company, you go nowhere. So it's good, it's a legislation, it helps, but it's not enough. But it's a very good starting point, more than a starting point. Here, you could see if it was bigger, but I explain you what it is. It's what we are writing in our industrial plan that we are updating right now, and we select a few areas, few priorities areas, where we need to focus, because sustainability is everything, but we have to focus where we can have the biggest impact. And the areas are related, of course, to safety for our employees and safety for the people traveling. It's related to climate change. In terms of mitigation, we have a goal of becoming net zero according to Science Based Target Initiative, so by 2040. This means that we have to reduce by 90% our emissions, and only the remaining 10% can be, less than 10% can be offset. This is, let's say, the rule certified by SBTIs. So this is what we are working on. So far we are not offsetting anything because we have too many other priorities that offsetting will come probably at the end. So carbon neutrality is one of our main goals, and we have a plan to produce 40% of our energy, electrical energy, with renewable sources, with photovoltaic mainly. Then another area where we are focusing is circular economy. So we have goals of not having any waste sent to the landfill in few years, in 2027, if I'm not wrong. This means that we have to design our processes already thinking that we shouldn't have any waste at the end, and this is not easy. Most of our waste already goes, it's reused and recycled. Most of our waste is steel or other material that can be reused. So it shouldn't be a big problem, but this last 10% that we are not reusing or recycling, it's not easy to convert in something valuable. Then we have also targets. So in all these areas we have targets. We have long-term targets and we have medium-term targets. They are embedded in the industrial plan, and then we have MBOs. So also we incentivize the management to reach some targets because they get money if they reach those targets. And we have seen that it works, actually. When you put money on these targets, surprisingly, it works faster. Biodiversity is another area where we are focusing on, and this is an area where we are not, so I think we should put more effort, because we are not very much familiar with this area. Of course, our engineers are when they build new infrastructures, but it's not really in the mindset of our company yet. So I admit we should work a lot. And then there is the social part, and I'll give you some examples. We have goals in the area of gender gap, reducing the gender gap, and increasing the inclusivity of the group. So these are the targets that we have, and they are embedded in our industrial plan. This is our, what I explained you briefly before, our path to net zero, to become net zero. That doesn't mean that we will not have emissions anymore. We will reduce by 90% our emissions, and a big part of it will be the production of energy from the sun. Then I'll give you some ideas of the advantages we have by doing this. We spoke a little bit about sustainable finance. So this is very helpful when we speak to our finance department. These goals are used also for our green bonds. So we We had 6 or 7 green bonds since 2017, and they are related to our sustainability targets in terms of reduction of emissions and also in terms, for example, of trains which are dedicated to bicycles also. And then we have also tools, sustainability-linked loans with targets that are not only related to the environment, but also social targets. For example, the accessibility of the stations to the stations for people with reduced mobility. So we have different projects that are with targets that helps us having access to finance that we wouldn't have otherwise. So this is very much concrete. It's not something. It's something very interesting for our finance department. Let's put it like this. Something that it's maybe related to what Arcadis does. It's the work we do with our company called Sistemi Urbani. We actually work in area that used to be dedicated to rails and are not dedicated to rails anymore. And there we are trying to design the city in a way where green is more there is more green, let's say, where public transport is more available. So we are working to redesign cities where we are not using our trains anymore. There are different projects. Many of them are in Milan, but some of them are also in Rome. Here are some examples, the 6 or 7 examples in Milan, where we are trying to improve the areas where that do belong to Ferrovie, to FS, but are not anymore used for public transport. So I'm moving towards the end. We briefly spoke about greenwashing.
No, stop.
I'm not speaking about greenwashing. Next question.
I want to ask you about this.
Okay.
Afterwards, because this is very important for your company and for you, because, let's see, I will ask you later. First, tell us about a couple of projects that could be linked to what Lorenzo is saying, because you are transforming some Italian cities, aren't you?
Yes, I think that I could mention a project that I'm working with right now. This project is called Loreto Open Community. It's a project that Arcadis won in 2021 together with other architectural firm and engineering partners that is related to a Milan Square, a place that today hosts traffic, smog, heat island effect, a lot of problems. Piazzale Loreto is a historical place of Milano, and where the project that won the competition envisage a new place, like a core of a new urban ecosystem. Because in our idea of project, we don't think to just solve one problem at a time and to think just to one element of the city, but we think to a place like a square inside the urban fabric, inside an ecosystem of the ecosystem of the city. And in this project was important for us because this embodied the idea of sustainability solution, where we need to face with multiple challenges at the same time, which means that for that project we had to deal with the challenge of energy, and where we encompasses systems and technology to reduce the primary energy demand by 92% compared to the business as usual, together with the challenge of addressing to the materials, where an attention and in choosing those materials that has a low impact for in terms of life cycle can be an added value for the whole project. In this case, our choices addressed for reducing the carbon footprint for about 55% compared to a business as usual metric. And also we put it in place other challenges related to the water or the biodiversity and also the resilience with the green infrastructure inside the city that are not only useful for purifying the air, but also for offsetting the CO2 that is relevant today there.
When can we see it?
When? Right now, our role right now is to be the sustainability manager. We are following this project since the beginning, and we are the permitting stage. So, which means that we are almost to get the permit, and the idea is to start the activities as soon as possible. I think at the beginning of the next year. Okay. And our role is to measure, because when I speak about sustainability, we need to measure all the time, and we are measuring the KPIs that we promised during the competition, which is normally very hard and difficult to maintain during the design and engineering activities.
And you're doing also one in Torino, aren't you?
We are working also in Torino in this in a different context, where we are working with different municipality for creating new bike pathways, a network where the idea is to contribute in change the mobility inside the West Turin. So this new network of bike pathways are considered to improve the way to connect the rail station together with the subways, and so that the people can use much less the car and then polluting much less.
And Italy could be more similar to the Netherlands, maybe, in terms of the use of bike. Thanks very much for this. One very interesting thing about greenwashing and FS is that when I was talking to Lorenzo a few days ago about this workshop, I said, all the other ones in transport sector, mainly the car manufacturers and the planes companies, they tended to do some greenwashing because they don't have the solutions. You have already solved the problem because you have a green means of transport. And he told me, but we are doing something against greenwashing even in our own companies. What does it mean?
Yeah, we are. Does it work? No. Does it work now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, we are writing some guidelines for
internal guidelines.
Internal, because I think there is the need for that. Because even if train is of course better on an environmental standpoint compared to other means of transports like cars, trucks, and planes, but still sometimes we are a bit. At least that's what I feel, and some other people do feel the same. Exaggerating a bit. For example, I don't know if you travel last few years on our trains and you got this bottle of water, carton boxed water, and it was written sustainable water.
Sustainable water.
And it was coming from Sardinia, and there was plastic carton box, so I wouldn't have called it sustainable. And so, because probably we didn't, our marketing, so the marketing department from Trenitalia and the supplier didn't think that it was a bit too much calling it sustainable, so we don't want this to happen again. Or I don't know if you went to Stazione Centrale in Milan a few weeks ago, there was some, it was quite little, but I've seen it anyway, and some other people, and it went viral on, I don't know, LinkedIn or somewhere else. There was a poster with written sustainable toilets, something like that.
Sustainable toilet.
Zero emission toilets.
It's a zero emission toilet.
And so I was a bit surprised what's happening here. Again, it was not directly our company doing it, but it was in our station, and they were speaking about these toilets as they were, I don't know what. And it was a normal toilet with some LEDs and something else.
We can start an award funded by some companies that are here and saying, how can it be a zero-emission toilet? How can it be really zero emission? It's very difficult.
It could be, but it was not our case in any case. So we want this kind of things not to happen anymore because we are serious about this. So we want to give rules, but more than rules, we want to explain how to communicate what is sustainable, what is not. We have to to speak about concrete facts, about not about the particular issues that are covered, and not speaking in generally and explaining something like it is sustainable when it maybe has LED lights instead of other lights. So we want to be serious about that. So we are finalizing these guidelines to avoid this kind of issues to happen again.
Thanks very much, and congratulations for your sincerity, and good luck for your job, because now you have the law, but you have always to say that you want to be better than the other ones. So you have to push anyway, even if you have the law. So good luck for your job.
Thanks.
And good luck to you and thanks for your presentation. Now, since now we are in the afternoon and we need to cheer us up a little bit, we need to wake us up, I think we need a beer and a coffee. So that's why we invited now two persons, one from Heineken and one from Illy, from the food sector. So I would like to welcome on the stage Leo Gaspari, Sustainability Manager of Heineken Italy. Welcome, Leo. And we should have David Brussa, the Technical Director of Illy Cafe. David should be Total Quality and Solid Sustainability Director. Hi, David. Are you there? Okay. So let's see how these two big companies are managing these issues. We know that on Illy, for example, Andrea Illy is a person who is very much committed on regeneration, and they as a company are completely changing their processes to get some targets. But also at the Heineken, you are doing something at global level and then an Italian level. Can you let us know more?
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, now you hear me. So let's start from the name of our program, that is Brew a Better World, that it's to brew, so in Italian is fermentare un futuro migliore, that is the process that we use to make beer. And there's a claim that you can read here that is producing more and consuming less. This is our approach to sustainability. This is the thing that we must do in order to grow as a business, but also to consume less and to reduce our impact on the environment. This is the real difficult things that we have to do. So, Brew a Better World, and you can read also Rise the Bar. So, Brew a Better World was born as is a global program that was born 15 years ago, globally and also in Italy. And as Lorenzo before said, it was also in Italy a process in terms of culture on sustainability, because it's impossible to let people understand and to let people commit on something that they don't feel as their own and on which they can do the difference. So we started a process of embedding inside the company, of embedding sustainability. And then in 2021, from our headquarters, we designed the new commitments for the future, and we raised the bar because the new commitments are very ambitious. So it's a long travel, but we already started. But now today I want to talk about what we are doing here in Italy, because just to give you some numbers, Heineken in Italy has 4 breweries. So all the beer that you drink here in Italy is produced in Italy by 2,000 people. And so we are a Dutch company, but we feel also Italian. So that's important. So that's the way to cooperate and to make a business and sustainability. What does it mean, Rise the Bar? What does it mean, Brew a Better World? So we have 3 main objectives. So we have to reduce our impact, and then we will see how and where. But in general, we have to reach net zero emission and carbon neutrality on the full value chain within 2040. Then, as you can see, we have 3 pillars that stay in a coaster. So it's very simple, very clear. But behind this, we have many, many KPIs, many people that is working on all these programs every day. The second area, very important, is the social area. So we have to improve our social impact here in Italy, and I will talk about that. And then we have a third pillar that is responsibility. So beer is a moderate alcoholic, but is an alcoholic. So we have the responsibility to promote responsible consumption, to offer some, for example, zero solutions and beers in this case, to our consumers.
Because if you drink a lot of beer, then you can be net zero emission in a few minutes.
Exactly.
And you forget about.
But it depends how you pour the beer. It's very important. It's very important.
Okay.
You have to every time you have to make foam. Three. Okay. Then we switch to beer culture. That is very funny also. But I have in my heart sustainability. So let's proceed with sustainability. Okay. Here in Italy, but also globally, we talk not only about sustainability, but sustainability and responsibility. And in our offices, we talk about S&R. Okay. And now we go in our main focus, environmental focus, that, as you can see, are to reach the net zero emission in production within 2030. What does it mean, net zero emission? It means that we can't make offsetting. So we have to transform our breweries in this case. And then we will work also on scope 3. But now I want to focus on scope 1 and 2. So no offsetting admittment. It means that we have an approach on 2 directions. One is to reduce, and the other focus is to replace. What does it mean? Reduce the energy consumption of our breweries. This is the first thing that we have to do to transform our footprint. And we are already doing. So we started since 10 years ago. We reduced something like 60% our emission in more than 10 years. But we have to do more. And so we are working in finding solution that let's make our breweries to consume less energy. The other focus is replace. So we have to find a solution, and we have to explore renewable energies. And it's not so simple. You know what? To do beer, if you think about the 10% of energy that you need to do beer, you need 30% of electricity and 70% of thermal energy. And this exploration that we are doing, and we have also finding some solution, is on thermal energy, so on the 70%. So this is a journey. In Heineken Italy, we are, I think, something like 100 people that every day are committed on sustainability, but also all the colleagues. There's a culture, starting from the MD, arriving to the colleague that works with me every day.
So you will produce your own renewable energy?
We will try to do this. I think that now we are exploring the biomethane solution. And yes, because we have a product that are the spent grains that can be used to produce biomethane.
You can use some.
So we can use our
some waste products from the production.
And this is also circularity.
To close the circle.
Exactly. So we are working hard to reach this and to make it real.
It's also a very nice story to be told to the customers, huh?
Yes, because we think that sustainability must be related to the business. Sustainability is not only reducing, but it's also investing. So we are investing.
But then you told me that beer is made by 95% of water.
Exactly.
So you have to do something with water.
Yes, so on water. You see our objective? Maybe it doesn't mean nothing for you, 2.9 hectoliters for hectoliters. What does it mean? So since 10 years ago, to make, I prefer to talk in liters, so it's simpler. So you can visualize the beer, 1 liter. So since 10 years ago, we need 10 liters of water to produce 1 liter of beer. Nowadays we are at 3.6 liters, so we reduce more than 50% of our consumption, but we want to arrive to 2.9 liters of water for liter of beer. Then you see another number, 2.6. What does it mean? So we made a mapping globally. Our headquarters made a map all over the world to see which breweries were operating on water-stressed areas. And we have a brewery here in Italy that is in Puglia. in Massafra. And so for this brewery, we have to do more and more. So we have to reach in terms of, now we are talking about efficiency. This is efficiency. So it's what you do inside the brewery. And we have to reach the 2.6 hectoliter for hectoliter of water to make one hectoliter of beer in Massafra. And then we have to do more again, and we have to compensate. So to give back water to the environment. And
don't call it compensate.
Yeah, I know, because it's...
Because if you call it compensate,
yeah.
you may think that maybe you are consuming somewhere and then maybe replacing somewhere else.
We already talked about this. And so when...
regenerate,
that is good. So when we will have to tell this story, and I hope in the next within the next 2 years, we will use the proper term.
What will you do?
What does it mean? So you have many solutions to regenerate that are reforestation, for example. If you image the desert picture, and if you image the water, the rain that goes on this kind of land. The water run on the land and don't goes in the groundwater. So if you reforestate, you permit to the water to go in the groundwater. The groundwater is what you have to protect. And so now we are working on a solution in Puglia, near the brewery, on the groundwater that the brewery used to produce beer, in order to regenerate some river, and to let arrive these rivers to the local farmers, because nowadays local farmers in some areas around the brewery, used to take water from the groundwater. So we will work in this direction to
and this is in the same territory of the brewery.
Exactly.
So you are improving
3 kilometers.
So you are improving you are raising the quantity of water there.
Yes, and we are avoiding that local farmer. We will avoiding that the local farmers take water from the wells.
Okay,
from the underground. Yes, the underground waters.
Okay.
It's a bit. It seems simple, but it's not so simple. Also because you have to deal with many stakeholders, and we are working on this, and we want to reach this objective. And I hope to tell this story soon.
Thanks very much. I think this is a good story, Pauline, that makes beer more, let's say, friendly also from other perspectives. Okay. Now let's switch to coffee, and we need it. So what are you doing now in your company, or what are you planning to do to get to your steps and your targets?
So good afternoon, Weg, and thank you for the invitation. So I think that the topic of this today meeting is speaking about CSRD and the sustainable strategies. And in my opinion, I want to spend some words about the new rule about the Corporate Social Reporting Directive. CSRD, that was highlighted in 2021, has put in change very strictly all our behavior around sustainability. We are working on sustainability since 30 years because in the 1989 we started to work hand in hand with the producer to learn them to give us the quality. And together to the quality, we started to work on the environmental protection, the water prevention to the use, and all the activation for the ecosystem where the coffee is producing. Take care that in our carbon footprint of organization, more closer to the 50% is due only to the coffee bean, without transport, without any production and operational asset. So for this reason, for us, the green coffee supply chain was not only the main hotspot topic for the carbon footprint, but is also our sustainability heritage. We started to give them, paying for the quality, the real value for the products. We started the process of the decommoditization of the coffee that in the 19th was a very, very tough problem for them. We started to work with them to improve the yield of the herb to improve the fertility of the earth, to save not only the forest, but also the plantation itself, because a very intensive production destroyed the earth in less than 15 years. And we avoided and we helped the producer to work in this direction. But returning to the CSRD was the topic that changed the mindset of EILI from make the sustainability in a craftsmanship approach to an industrial approach. The fact that now with the CSRD, we have to take care for all the data, not only for the environmental, but also for the social, for the workers, for also the intangible sustainability matter, we started to move the sustainability in all the departments. So we move far from a department issue or matter in a company issue. And this new approach has put EILI in a very new strategy way that sustainability will be, is just today a strategic core asset, but will be a pre-financial asset in the near future. And the CSRD will be imposed to the big company to be there. And with the big companies, we are taking back all our suppliers, not only from the Greek coffee, but also from the other, packaging, transport, and so on. From the substantially point of view, the first topic that we taking care was the green coffee production. And more than 30 years that we are working there, just the 1st October 2023, we were able to launch in the market the first coffee produced by regenerative agriculture practices, certified by Region Agri. Again, the certification is to avoid that the product could be a greenwashing product. And also the solution that we decide to put at 100% of coffee by regenerative agricultural practices, even if by law you can use only the 50%. But in this case, we want to be very, very substantially. And this new product that we launched some days ago was a very key project that the producer of the Cerrado Mineiro area in Brazil, that they proposed to us to launch in the market. So we don't buy that product. They offer us, and we are their ambassador, due to the fact of all the activity that we put in place more in the 30 years of working hand in hand, working in the production side, in the environmental and the social aspect. This topic now today is only the first step of this new regeneration product that we are going to launch in the market, and to committed them, taking care that after the COVID, when also the daughter and the sons of the producer returned back in their countries, they started to view the production like in a new mood. And the fact that they use the regenerative agricultural practices, that you can guarantee the same yield of the conventional agriculture, but you increase the fertilization of the soil, you reduce the energy consumption, energy and resource consumption. Now the real aspect is that they say why we don't start before to start in this working in this regenerative agricultural practices. This is a project. This is now it's a reality, and this is a continuous improvement. As already said, that the sustainability is a journey. Take in mind that in our carbon footprint of organization, we want to be carbon neutral by 2033, and we had already signed that all our decarbonization roadmap has to be approved by Science-Based Target Initiative, because only if you have a science-based data and science-based approved system, you can guarantee that you are not doing storytelling, but you are doing substantially actions. And in this case, the coffee, that is the 46% of our topic, now we are working very hardly in all the other packaging material, and we are looking for sustainable material. Steel, for instance, this is the new frontier of the steel sustainable, or aluminum with a high percentage of recycled material inside, or new way of transport, maybe using biofuels. Again, even if today is not already approved by Science-Based Target Initiative, but we are sure that in the near future they will be approved. due to the fact that we want to reduce our carbon foot emission. And in the last 2 years, we were able to reduce closer to the 3% of our carbon footprint emission, always working only in the efficient operation actions on the air compressors, energy consumption, lamps, traveling way, and the fleet, the company fleet. In this case, what we are looking for that is very hard to reduce in order to maintain the same service index. And for this reason, we arrived to a conclusion that alone we are not able to reach or achieve the carbon neutrality, even if we taking together with us all our suppliers. For this reason, we started less than 6 months ago the procurement evolution approach, where we are involving more than the 50% of our suppliers that are covering more than 80% of the values of our inbound materials. And we are working together to sharing the awareness on carbon emission, sharing, and also try to have a partnership together to put in place some project in order to increase the sustainability of our product, but also for their product. Because again, if the big company can taking back the little suppliers, they can increase their value also for the other customers. So, and the CSRD, the way that the reporting has not only to looking behind, but look forward, is the real effect to create sustainability for a future benefit. And last but not least, what we were able to verify that if in the past sustainability was only a matter of a very few people, very high technical and competence, with the new CSRD, the matter will be a company situation as the financial assets. And all the directors, managers, employees has to be involved in a very proactive and in very responsible way. It's not a matter of fact of data. It's a matter of fact of changing the behavior of the company inside and outside in order to arrive in the final way to the customer that is the real our target to create sustainability. And all these supply chains, like in the beans, we move from the long origins to the cup. The sustainability is again a very long journey that taking care of all the travelers in a one unique ship towards what the strategy of the company want to achieve.
Thanks
and
very
this
much.
Is what we are doing in this more than 3 years in this new way of the conception of the sustainability like a very strategic asset.
Thanks very much, David. Thanks very much for your detailed presentation. And so thanks, you can sit now and we go to the final and last sector. We're going, Pauline, towards the end. We started with 2 women and now we have 2 women on the stage. Marco Fei said that finance is essential to do all of this. When we started the cooperation with the Dutch embassy, I remember ING was already there 15 years ago because they were financing the renewable, they were the biggest finance institute financing renewable energy in Italy. So we are delighted to have on the stage Silvia Colombo from ING Italy. Welcome, Silvia. And we have an Italian finance institute, Intesa San Paolo. We have Sofia D'Alessandro. She should be connected with us. She's coming. So now you have a very difficult part because you have the money, you have a lot of money, and you have to and you have to tell us how do you use them to make it sustainable and to have this transition. Sofia, are you there? Can you hear us? Sofia, can you hear us? No. Okay, maybe we.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm here.
Now we can hear you. Thanks very much. So we start from ING and then I give the floor to you, okay?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Silvia.
So good afternoon to everyone. I think I have quite an hard task because we are going towards the end of this day and most of you have the attention maybe could be not so high, but I will try to do my best to be interesting and to make it sustainable. So let's start with some few information about ING. ING is a global financial institution we are in more than 40 countries with around 58,000 customers all around the world. 38 million customers and 58,000 employees all over the world. We have a long history of tradition to sustainability because the first sustainability report dates back to 2011. In 2015, we immediately took up the challenge of the Paris Agreement when we decided to bring towards net zero the financing of new coal-fired plants within 2025. And in 2018, we were part of a small group of banks that in Katowice during the COP24 announced that they would have reoriented, they would have steered their financing towards the Paris goals. So based on the fact that we have this historical commitment towards sustainability, we decided also the group, our CEO at group level decided to bring sustainability as one of the two pillars of the way we do our business. So not only business, but also sustainability. And we say that we want to put sustainability at the heart of what we do. And together with offering an excellent customer experience. So it means that putting sustainability at the heart of what we do means that we strive to build a sustainable future for our company, our customers, society, and environment. It's clear that the words need to change and banking needs to change as well. This is our conviction. So, our role as a bank, in the banking area, we want to be a pioneer and the ambition to be a banking leader in sustainability. And we do this focusing on climate, collaboration, financial health, and inclusion. So the social part is also included in our journey. But as we think that the climate is the part where we can play the biggest role, where we can have the bigger impact, we think that first we need to focus on climate. So first of all, to be a credible partner in helping others to transition to low carbon ways of doing business, we first need to tackle our own emissions. So we need to give the example. So we monitor and manage our environmental impact closely and believe being transparent about the climate impact of our operations. We strive for net zero in our own operation by reducing scope 1, 2, and 3 associated with our activities. To reduce the emission linked to our activities, we invest in operational efficiency solutions and aim to source 100% renewable electricity for the buildings we have managed the control over. And we have integrated sustainability in our procurement processes as well. It's a journey again, but we want to be a pioneer also in this area. Second point, we empower our clients. What does it mean? We think that reducing our own footprint is very important, is a very important part of our approach, but it's not where we can have the biggest impact. Where we can have the biggest impact is in two ways. First, empowering our clients to transition their own businesses to more sustainable and low carbon models. And second, aiming to steer the most carbon intensive part of our loan book towards net zero by 2050. So we have financed and will continue financing billions of euro in green energy projects through green loans and bonds, sustainability linked products, and other innovative products and financing constructions. And sometimes, that's very important, we say no to companies, sector, or projects, like with our decision to no longer provide dedicated financing for new oil and gas fields, nor the midstream infrastructure that supports them. So we want to reduce our exposure to coal power generation to close zero by 2025. We do that in an inclusive way. As we know, the social part is still important. So every time we take a decision, we do it always supporting our customers in their transition.
So you will have no exposure to coal in 2025?
Yes, we
So
will bring to close to zero
Close to
our.
zero.
Yes, it's a matter of language again, because we never know if there's something that cannot be controlled or we cannot bring till the end. But really, the ambition is to bring really to zero.
And you will stop the financing of new exploitation or exploration
Exactly.
of oil
Yes.
and gas
Yes. So
at global level.
At global level, yes, these are global targets. What I'm presenting here is an overall view about ING all over the world.
Very good.
Yes, and the third part is about the climate report, the transparency. So we disclose progress regularly every year. We have a climate report that will align climate risk management, highlight our sustainability proof points, and so on, because also the transparency part is very important. Now I would like to focus on the Terra approach, which I think is one of the most interesting projects we have in sustainability area. What is the Terra approach? The Terra approach is a science-based methodology by which we aim at steering our portfolio towards net zero within 2050. Sorry. What does Terra do? Terra focuses on sectors and science to make an impact. It looks at the most carbon-intensive parts of the most carbon-intensive sectors. By steering those parts, we believe that we will steer the whole. So each sector has got its own methodology based on the latest climate science, and this outlines where the market is now and where it has to be in order to reach net zero by 2050, including intermediate targets. Then we measure whether ING is in line or not with that pathway or roadmap. Terra is engagement driven because we believe that we need to help clients to transition, collaborating to identify what changes they have to make in order to be ready for a low carbon future, and then helping them to make those changes. So we, based on the fact that we do not produce anything because we are in the service industry, but we can finance, we decide and help our customers, the company we support, we finance to do their own transition. And we aim to steer this financing towards our client low carbon option and away from high carbon options, of course. In the next slide, if there is time, I will give you a concrete example based on the automotive sector, because it can give the idea on how we really work with sectors. So in our automotive portfolio, we have large car maker clients. We start by matching each one to an external database that tell us on what the production capacity is for electric and hybrid cars versus traditional combustion engine. And we convert each client's total capacity into emission intensity, or grams or carbon emitted per kilometer. We calculate what share of that client's total emission intensity belongs to ING based on how much we have loaned to them. Once we have done that for all the car maker clients, we arrived at the total for ING's automotive portfolio. So we compare ourselves with the total global automotive sector, and we understand if you are on track or not. I don't know if it is clear, but maybe can give a clearer example on the methodology. From our client report, climate report, you can see on the left side how we, on annual basis, tackle every different sector. So we have identified the nine most carbon-intensive sectors, and every year we measure and we say if you are on track or not in these sectors. So, for example, you can see oil and gas upstream, we are on track because we did the good progresses. In the power generation is green, so good. Automotive green, the shipping is good. the steel, aviation, and on the cement are still have some criticalities, so we need to work harder on that. And then other like residential Rextel, for example, we are not still on track. So we focus on the 9 most carbon intensive sector, and then, for example, when we face these challenges, that's because there could be some technologies that are not still right in the right evolution direction, or still not in place, or there could be some the need of some incentives, for example, in the real estate area. So what we try to do is to cooperate also with government, with our actors, because we know that we cannot do it alone, and we are doing our part, also being very very committed and very strict in measuring what we are doing and how we can improve. But of course, we are conscious that we cannot do it alone. I think we have. I finished. Yes, if you are interested in knowing more about the climate report, there's a full report in our website, ing.com. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Silvia. Thanks. So now we have we got to the final and last speech. So Sofia, I hope you could follow our discussion and all the previous speakers. You are not a sustainability manager. You do a different job in Intesa San Paolo. You do market and index analysis. So
yes,
how this is linked with sustainability now?
Okay, so hello everybody. Thank you for the invitation and apologize for my external links. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sofia D'Alessandro and I'm the head of Index and Market Data, a structure in Intesa San Paolo that manages licenses for the use of financial data relating to indices, including ESG and market data. Let me introduce Intesa San Paolo. Intesa San Paolo Group has a capitalization of 38.6 billion euros. Is one of the main banking group in Europe with a strong ESG commitment, a world leading position for social impact, and a great focus on the climate. Social responsibility and sustainability have always played a central role for Intesa San Paolo. The group's growth strategy aims to create sustainable value from an economic, financial, social, and environmental perspective, built on the trust of all its stakeholders and based on the values stated in the ethical code. And over the year, the commitment has continued to increasingly include environmental issues, particularly relating to climate change, together with social issues. The 2022-2025 business plan includes a strong commitment to ESG, with a world-leading position for social impact and great focus on the climate as one of the 4 strategic guidelines with objective defined and quarterly monitor on a pair with the economic objectives, and financial and whose achievement is supported by a dedicated governance. Intesa San Paolo boasts a long tradition in sustainability reporting. In fact, since its establishment, it has voluntarily published a social report every year and based on the Global Reporting Initiative guideline. The Global Reporting Initiative standards allow an organization to report information in a way that covers all its most significant impact on the economy, environment, and people, and to focus on specific topics such as climate change or child labor. This report is followed by the sustainability report, which monitor and report on risk and opportunities to relevant ESG. And lastly, there's the consolidated financial statement of commitment and result achieved in the ESG area. Since 2019, it has been among the few banks in the world that also voluntarily publish in France annual no financial reporting. More recently, the information has been further enriched thanks to an integrated and structured set of sustainability reports, which in addition to the consolidated no financial statement, there are the task force on climate related to financial disclosure that is dedicated to climate issues and the transition towards a low emission economy. The principle for responsible banking based on the progress achieved with respect to the responsible banking, obviously. The Green and Social Bond Report, Intesa Sanpaolo was the first Italian bank to debut with a green bond issuance in 2017. Green funding has become increasingly important in the overall group strategy. The total amount of Intesa Sanpaolo green bond outstanding as of at the end of December 2022 equal to approximately 3.5 billion euros. And finally, the last report is the new information section on ESG risk in Pillar 3. The Pillar 3 disclosures on ESG risk will allow easy comparison, identification, and analysis of banks' exposures to sector and geographies, and they are vulnerable to climate change. So let me introduce the activity with the Italian small and medium-sized enterprises. Loans directed to Italian small and medium-sized enterprises in socio-economical disadvantages are assessed through three main impact indicators. The first one is the additional production value generated thanks to funding. The second one is the additional value added generated, and the third one is the jobs created. Italian small and medium-sized enterprises find themselves having to face important sustainability challenges, especially in relation to the availability of data and skills. However, there's a strong general interest in better understanding risk and opportunities. And in this regard, Intesa Sanpaolo encourages companies to act thanks to a wide range of financing products to support the green economy, the circular economy, and the ecological transition, but also with consultancy, training, and awareness-raising activities in order to encourage the development of the corporate culture increasingly oriented towards sustainability and the acquisition of specific skills. With this in mind, the bank offers services such as a dedicated online training platform, tailor-made training and support programs, and ESG laboratories. Let me introduce the last argument is related to the lack of data, and this is my job. The system was faced with a problem of finding reliable sources, the difficulty of data availability, which can be acquired internally and or from external suppliers specialized in the provision of financial information. The collection of ESG information from external sources represent a starting point, but relying exclusively on information obtained from data providers could have side effects for banks, as they will still have to adapt such data information to the peculiarities and specificity to their own banking portfolio. It therefore becomes important for intermediaries to implement governance measures aimed at evaluating the reliability and representativeness of this information, also acquiring mastery of the methodology underlying to estimate the ESG information obtained from service providers. The theme of sustainable data gap highlights double issues: the scarcity of data and the difficulty of finding it. The sustainable sustainable investment bubble and the more stringent rules adopted by regulators are imposing a reclassification of all green financial instruments, especially for funds. And this mandatory decision is necessary to protect the financial system and guarantee the right liquidity for those truly sustainable investment. But compactness and transparency can only exclusively be acquired by using coherent, easily accessible and usable data in exposure assessment. This means that financial institutions will have to resort, where possible, obviously, to estimate and proxy to make up for the lack of directly detectable data. And with this short presentation, I hope to have managed to frame in a generic way the whole topic of ESG investment and any problem inherent in this matter.
Thanks very much, Sofia. It was very interesting and very clear. So thanks very much for your presentation. We know that you have written a book about the importance of data for the ESG, and not only for the ESG, for sustainability. And now do we lack data, and what is the importance of missing data? So thanks very much for this. And maybe we can invite you in presence physically next year here in Stati Generali of the Green Economy. Thanks very much, Sofia, and thanks very much to Silvia for your... Pauline, I think we can close the meeting. Can you come up on the stage? There are some heroes who I think we were a bit late, so you are heroes because you stayed with us until now, but we have an interesting news for you. Heineken and Illy have just told us that they have a big gift for you, so if you leave your address at the door, they will send you 100 kilos of coffee and 2,000 liters of beer, but it's sustainable beer. So how can we conclude this? I think it was very interesting. What do you think?
No, thank you. And thanks again to all the speakers, also to the colleagues who joined us online. I think our online room may still be a bit fuller. I just noted down some words that were presented in all the presentations, I think. First of all, reporting helps. And we need data for that. Then second, bottom-up versus obligations. I think there's a spectrum we need to navigate there, but there were some very clear messages that a concrete obligation actually helps to enforce sustainability strategies, also in terms of how companies are organized. And I think the clearest example is the sustainability head of the heads of division that suddenly realized that their mandate has become an organizational-wide subject. Then mindset. This was also a word that I heard quite often, and also in combination with empowerment. And I think Silvia sort of skipped one part of her presentation because I saw empowering your own people in achieving sustainability and contributing to sustainability. So that may be also a question: how do we empower our own organizations to achieve such a strategy? And then the last one, and I found that very impressive actually, is trust, and the seriousness of all these organizations here about their objectives, about their data, about their reports and so on, and about their commitment to really achieving results. So those were my key words.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks. Don't go away. I want to ask you something, but I had the impression that what was nice is that you institutions are learning from companies. Definitely. Because you have learned that if you don't do your part, then it's very difficult to ask them to do their part, and this is very interesting. But also on the other side, what I'm seeing more and more, because I'm very much interested in greenwashing and how to avoid greenwashing, what I'm seeing now is that there is a tendency to be more transparent in order to have also a better dialogue with customers and with institutions. So the more we go into this direction, I think the better we can advance. So I think this was very interesting. I think Italian companies and Dutch companies have a lot to say to each other, maybe to cooperate, as we saw. what are you doing as embassy and consulate for the next? You're doing a lot of things. You are promoting your country in a very good way. What is the next step?
No, we will be continuing improving our own facility management, sustainability management, and so on. But we will also be traveling Italy. So we will be present next year, for example, at Klima House in Bolzano, at Key Energy in April, at the Milan Design Week, also with the sustainability perspective, and we are developing a very strong program on water technology between the Netherlands and Italy. So those are areas where you can come across the Netherlands, including, I hope, again, at the Stati Generali and Ecomondo. And if you have any other ideas for cooperation or want to reach out to us on sustainability, you're always welcome to do so, because we really like to engage with all of you here. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much. We would like to thank also the consulate colleague Daniela Compagni and your excellent team at the embassy, Chris Shoemakers and all team that is really promoting your country in Italy in a very good way. Also a personal relation that is very important for us Italians to have this. And I would like to also to thank my colleagues in particular Flaminia Greco. She's here. We call Flaminia Piccola because she's very young and she organized all of this. Thanks very much. See you tomorrow morning at the corporate session. See you soon. Thanks.